Just kind of describe what it was like growing up around baseball and being around someone who was such a high-level exec in the sport like your dad was.
Growing up, I went to spring training every year. So going through elementary, middle school, you always look forward to going to Arizona to see your dad and get to go to spring training is always probably what we look forward to as a family most. So he would always bring me around, and I'd get to hang out in the minor league fields. And he'd bring me to Royals games a lot, probably about anywhere between 20 and 30 a year. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then for you, Dayton, when it came to balancing family life and also kind of the job, baseball is a very 24/7, 365 sport. How did you try to strike a balance between, being dad versus being president of the Royals?
Well, I mean, finding the right balance, striking the right balance is never easy, as we know. But I tried to be the best husband I could. I told every employee that we ever hired, whether it be the Braves or the Royals, we always told them, look, figure out how much time it takes you to be the best husband, the best father that you can be, and then just give the organization everything else. And so that's what I tried to do, is just support my wife, Marianne, Ashley, Avery, and Robert's mother, and be supportive of her and keep our marriage as strong as we possibly can. And I felt like if we did that, we'd have a better chance to have that balance.
And kind of just together, I know, Robert, you talked a little bit about going to spring training every year, but just for both of you, do you have any kind of favorite memories together, even if it's not baseball related, of things you guys did growing up?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is he coached our youth baseball team from about 9U to 14.
Yeah, 13 or so, yeah.
We didn't lose many games. But no, it was cool because all the kids we grew up playing with, they all went on to play either Division I or professional baseball. So I think the fun part about that was just watching everyone's careers unfold. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I would say that was a great memory of us together, in baseball. But it was great having, Robert around the clubhouse and being on the field. I remember the first interaction when I was with the Braves, overseeing scouting and player development. We were in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in the Carolina League, and Elvis Andrews is one of the players that I had an opportunity to be a part of the signing and development, and watching Robert out there with him taking ground balls and interacting with Rafael Furcal early on, and those days was special. And of course, when we had him in Kansas City, he got more of a upfront look at things. And I remember one time, and I've told this story many times and I've shared it with Buddy Bell, but I'd bring Robert into the clubhouse on Sunday mornings, and we were sitting in Buddy's office, and Robert and Buddy were kind of interacting, and Robert goes to Buddy, he says, hey, Buddy Bell, do you ever get tired of losing? And I thought Buddy was absolutely going to snap, but he broke down in laughter and lightened the moment, and Buddy's a great friend. And so that was kind of one of the stories I like to tell on Robert and the innocence of youth, and they'll say anything.
And you mentioned those Royals teams. So, Robert, for you specifically, being in your teenage years when the Royals kind of went on their run, making the World Series in 14, winning it in 15, do you kind of have any favorite moments, outside of winning the World Series, of course, and favorite memories from those teams?
The cool part was during the playoff runs, my sister and I got to go on the road trips with my mom. So I think that was fun. And then at the end of the day, you get to sit and watch the game with Dad. So I think that stands out. Those are some memories me and my sister really, really enjoyed.
So for Dayton, as someone who's kind of worked in the game at a high level, and obviously you've scouted a lot of players, minor league, major league players, how did you coach and teach Robert as a young player, and maybe try to kind of separate the scouting, analytics side of things versus just kind of being dad/coach?
Well, that's a great question, and again, you're always trying to find the right balance. And I'm still guilty of this a little bit as his father. Maybe I talk a little bit too much and maybe insert my opinion probably a little too much at times, instead of just listening to him. And and just letting him, ask questions and share what he's going through. Because at the end of the day, you want to be a great support and a great encourager, for your son and for your children, whatever they do, whatever their passion is. And again, I just want to support them as much as possible. But I certainly made my share of mistakes. But when I did make those mistakes, I was always quick to ask him to forgive me, or I'll do better, and usually I did. But at the end of the day, Jake, the end game with this, right? I mean, it's the most important thing is you look at these individuals on the field, you look at them as sons and brothers and future husbands and future fathers. Don't look at them as baseball players. And so, that's how I've always viewed Robert. Is obviously he's a brother, he's a son, and I just want him to grow up and be the best husband and father that he can possibly be, and allow this game, this great game that we all share and love, use it as a platform to grow you in leadership areas and ways that help you become that son, brother, father, and husband someday.
And you've obviously come out to a lot of games this year. I know one thing I've noticed is that the two of you will kind of sit up in the stands a lot during the day, before batting practice, after batting practice. If you're comfortable sharing, or what are those conversations usually like? Are they more baseball? Do they kind of stray away from baseball and focus more on life when you have those conversations?
You want to take that, or you want me?
I actually bring him gum or sunflower seeds, and we just talk about whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wide open. We talk about our family, and I try to see Robert 2 or 3 times a month. I mean, I've made that kind of a commitment wherever he is. I try to spend time with him. And my father died young. I missed out on a lot of those opportunities, and so I've tried to work very hard to find time, and find that balance to be a part of our kids' lives the best I can.
And for Robert's kind of personal journey, the recruitment process that ultimately landed him at Arkansas. Robert, I'll start with you. Talk about that process, that journey, and just what ultimately got you to be a Razorback.
I guess it's hard to remember all the details. I just really remember I didn't want to go far away from home. I think with travel ball and just my generation and now the future generation, it's like you get to travel all over the place to play baseball, and I don't think that's going away with Perfect Game and PBR. And I found out really quick that I didn't want to be far away from home at all. So I was really interested in K-State. My sister was going to go there, but ultimately Arkansas just made sense for the best fit. It's 3 hours from the house. I have a great relationship with the coaching staff there, and Nate Thompson, I guess, pursued me a little bit harder than other people. So it was the best decision in the end.
And Dayton, for you, did you have to kind of find a balance between giving recruitment advice as someone like, hey, what's going to be your best chance to maybe advance to the next level, versus as your dad, what's the best place for you personally?
Well, that's a great question. I think the most important thing is you go to a team, a college where you're going to play, and they're going to put your name in the lineup, because you can't improve very much at all on the bench. You got to get your opportunity, and you got to get a chance to play. And so that was always my advice to Robert. And I knew he wanted to stay close. He wanted to play in the best competition he possibly could. The SEC provided, that opportunity. And Marianne and I appreciated the fact that he wanted to stay somewhat close to Kansas City, because it would give me the opportunity and Marianne a chance to see him play a lot. Looking back on it, I wish I would have made more time. I missed the majority of his college games, especially the first year or two. Obviously it was COVID, and then the second year he was at Arkansas, I wasn't able to attend a lot of the games, and then his junior year I probably attended maybe 2/3 of the SEC games, so I made more time then.
And Dayton, for you again, as someone who has made the phone call probably hundreds of times in your life to tell somebody that they're being drafted, that their childhood dreams are coming true, how did it feel to be on the other side when Robert got that call that the Brewers were drafting him?
Well, growing up as a scout, it's a special day when you get a chance to draft a player and sign a player and then of course be able to follow them in their career, their evolution, through the minor leagues and hopefully the major leagues. So just very rewarding, but those are his dreams. And again, I just wanted to be a great support for him, like I am today here. I mean, he's with a great organization, great baseball people, and I understand how hard it is for all of these individuals to be away from home and try to manage their personal life and their professional life. And I just want to be a great support for him. Always tell him the truth, but you can tell the truth in an encouraging and positive way, and that's simply, what his mother and I try to do in his life when it comes to giving him advice.
And Robert, what did that moment mean to you when you got the phone call from the Brewers?
I mean, it was pure joy. I celebrated the family, and got a call from our GM at the time, David Stearns, and it was cool. And I celebrated with the area scout that signed me, and that's a moment that I'll remember forever.
And Dayton, you've talked a lot about how just you're making it an emphasis now that he's a pro player to try and get out at least once or twice a month to watch him play, whether it's here in Reading or whether it's somewhere else. Why is that something that's so important to you? You have such a busy schedule, obviously, through your work still in baseball, but why is it so important to make these trips, to see Robert, to have these conversations with him?
Well, my team's at home. My family's my team, and we're blessed that we both love baseball, and to be able to share that with one another is very rewarding. And so I covet the times that we are together. But again, I try to give him his space as well and allow him to be his own person. But it's just so enjoyable to be a part of his life. And but I want to be respectful of it. I want to be able to make sure I give him, like I said, his space and his time, and this is his career, these are his dreams, and I just want to be a character in his story.
And Robert, what does it mean to you to have your dad here and around so much?
It's fun. I remember when I first got called up to Low A, we were in Delmarva, Maryland, and I was stretching. I looked up, and he surprised me. He was there. So we go there, and then I was in the Midwest League last year. Just him coming to different cities and different parts of the United States, and truthfully places that are kind of hard to get to, and then now in the Eastern League. So I think 15, 20 years from now, when we're sitting around a coffee table, it'll be fun to look back on.
And I love the minor leagues too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure joy watching your son, your family members do the things that they love to do. But I love watching all these players. I mean, I study the rosters on both teams, and I try to learn about their families and their careers, and you want them all to reach their ceiling. And and I think that's a great attraction. I'm sure that's your attraction as well, to watch the evolution of the players and be a part of their journey and follow their journey.
This past offseason, still pretty early in your career, you've experienced being traded for the first time. What was that like when you found out that you were heading from Milwaukee to Philly?
I was boarding an airplane, and I got the phone call. So you got 2 hours in the airplane with no service. So it stunk to leave an organization that drafted you. You build so many relationships over there with managers and players and clubhouse guys, and so that part wasn't fun. But it was also fun to look forward to something that you did get traded. Someone wanted you. So getting to meet new people over here, and clubhouse guys in Clearwater, and a new affiliate, new leagues. So I mean, there's positives to everything.
Dayton, as someone who's been around a lot of players, and you've seen a lot of players succeed, a lot of players maybe not succeed, both on and off the field, how do you kind of use those experiences and lessons that you've learned maybe with other players you've dealt with to kind of try and teach and mentor Robert?
Well, I mean, what I've always told Robert, and I've told every player I've came in contact with, whether it be out of the draft, we recently signed in the minor leagues, whatever stage or phase of their development they're a part of, is allow the game to mold and shape you as a leader. And the lessons that you learn from one baseball game, from one season, certainly your entire career, the lessons that you learn applied appropriately in the right perspective can prepare you for all aspects of life. And that's the beauty. Use the game as a platform to grow you as a leader, and be thankful of the challenges. And every night that you play this game, at the end of the game, you now have the answers to the test. And you can learn from everything that happened during that game. And so that's one of the things that we love to talk about. We'd like to break down the games afterwards, and pitch sequences, and from umpires' calls. And we were talking this morning at breakfast, that this umpiring crew. We were talking about the umpiring crew, and we think what a great job that they've done thus far in the series. So we talk about all aspects of it, and but use the game as a platform to grow you as a leader. And that's really been my consistent message to Robert and every player I've been around.
Robert, as someone who's kind of had a chance to watch you and watch this team, front row seat for the last 3 months, I've come to notice very quickly your work ethic. Seems like first guy in, last guy out all the time. First one to the cage almost every day, it seems like. First one out to the field, pregame warm-ups wise. That work ethic, where did you kind of develop that from?
Good question. I don't know if I have a great answer to that. I got 2 sisters that were dancers growing up, and I don't know if you know anything about the dance world, but they're there from like after school to 10, 11 o'clock at night, and they're just doing the routines over and over and over again. And so I watching that growing up, I think might have something to do with it. I think other part is whenever you're 4 or 5 years old and it's 1 o'clock, like your dad's at the field. So I guess now when it's my turn, I'm at the field at 1 o'clock. So I think it's just kind of a mix of your surroundings. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a great answer because I don't really notice that. It's just kind of who you kind of become to be.
And kind of to build off of that, when it comes to, for you, Dayton, just in terms of life, right? So what are some core values that are important to you in baseball, in life, in family, that you just try to instill on the people around you?
Well, I think in leadership, it's important to model the behavior that you want seen in others, right? So whatever that is, if you want work ethic in the people that you're leading, you better work hard. If you want others, if they want them to have a caring spirit, you need to have a caring spirit. If you want generosity and directness in the people that you're leading, you must show that as well. And I mean, leadership is caught more than it's taught, and we all know that. And so, that's what we've tried to do in this game. It's a great blessing to be a part of it. I feel like that we're all just kind of the caretakers of it, and we're stewards of it, and everybody that is involved in the game, no matter what your role is, whether it be in the minor leagues, major leagues. Robert mentioned the clubhouse guys, the members of the media, the grounds crew. They all have an important part of the growth of this game, and it's important we all do those jobs so well that we inspire other people to want to be a part of the game as well. And so I'm not here every day, but listen to you talk about Robert's work ethic and so forth. First of all, he loves the game. He always has loved the game, and he's always pursued it, and that makes me feel good that he's giving his best effort, because that's all you want at the end of the day. If you can learn to give your best effort every single day, and it's hard to do. I'm not sure I've yet to do it in my 57 years on this planet. But if you can learn to give your best effort every single day, you're going to wake up someday and you're probably going to be pretty good at something.
You mentioned earlier how every player on the field is one day going to become a father, a husband, and a lot of them are brothers, a lot of them are sons. For Robert specifically, we talked a lot in this interview about the mentorship you've given him about baseball and about being a leader. But when it comes to one day being a father, Father's Day coming up, and being a husband one day, what's the advice that you kind of have for him that, maybe he can learn from you to kind of give to that next generation once he's a father one day?
Well, I think the most important part of it is if you're married, you work hard to make your marriage as strong as possible. And I think that is how you create that foundation. And that's what I've tried to do as a father. I've always felt the best thing I can do as a father is love their mother as well as I possibly can and honor her, and to make sure that they know that I honor her. And I think that's where it starts, and that's where it begins for me. And again, I've just tried to model whatever characteristics I want seen in my son and Ashley and Avery, and just tried to model that behavior the very best I could. But I've made a lot of mistakes, and when you do make mistakes, admit you make mistakes, and ask them to forgive you, and then you move on from it. And it's been a great journey.
And Robert, what is it about your dad as both a father and a husband to your mom that is, really inspired you?
I would say just about every single day they both say they love you and they're proud of you. Talking with a lot of friends growing up, a lot of them, they struggle because their father never told them they loved them, or wasn't as often as they like. So I would say I get that from both sets of parents, and that's kind of a blessing that you can take for granted. But like I said, a lot of my friends didn't have that. So.
And then Dayton, for you, you've built and won a World Series. You've been incredibly accomplished in your baseball career as an executive. Is there anything, though, that you could ever accomplish in your career that'll ever match just watching Robert's success as your son?
Oh, it's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even the same level. And but as I said before, we've always looked at the individuals in uniforms as sons and brothers and future husbands and fathers, and you have to want the exact same thing for other people's children as you want for your own. But it's different, obviously, when it's your own flesh and blood. And I don't value Robert how he performs as a baseball player, and just like I've never tried to value the players based on how they perform. And they all have great gifts, they all have great futures, and as long as they continue, as I said before, use this game as a platform just to continue to grow them as leaders. And but there's nothing more rewarding than watching your children do something they love to do.
And Robert, last week against Hartford, you had probably one of the best games of your professional career. You hit a grand slam, 2 home runs in the game. Just to have that level of success at this level, just what's that mean to you?
Well, it's fun. It's fun to hit homers. It's fun to round the bases. The more often you do that, probably the more fun you're going to have. But I don't know. I think just every year you just try to get a little bit better. I don't know if you ever really dominate. I think there's only probably about 3 to 5 players in the world that ever dominate. But just getting better every year. I got better in college. I got better in low A. I got better in high A, and now I'm getting better in double A. And hopefully, I can say that for another 5 years. So.
And then, last question for you, Robert. Just in terms of your success, how much has your dad's support really meant to get to this level?
I think it means a lot. I think we're fortunate to be able to share similar dreams and similar hobbies and passions. I think that's something that has built our relationship. Not the foundation, but it has been a key part to growing it. Something we can talk about and bounce ideas off of. I think this is probably something I hope to pass on to my kids too.
And then Dayton, last question before we finish up, any final thoughts, whether it be on fatherhood, being a dad to Robert and his 2 sisters, any final thoughts on any of that?
Well, I think that, and there's a lot of maybe people that are seeing this that maybe didn't have a relationship with their father, or wish it was different, or maybe didn't know, their father at all. And my heart really, goes out to them. And but look for that mentor in your life that you can learn to trust, and that they can earn the right to speak into your life in a way that molds you and guides you. I think it's just the strength of of our communities, the strength of our country, the strength of our teams, oftentimes is traced right back to whether the family was strong and they came from a good foundation. And so, my challenge to all the players and all the fathers is love your children's mother well, and to be present in your children's life. Don't make some of the mistakes that I did. We're always trying to dominate or give my opinion too much instead of listening to them. But it's the greatest blessing in the world is being a father and being a husband. And so I hope everybody gets that opportunity to do that someday.